Welcome students to the computer fundamental subject. In the today's class we are going to discuss about the generations of computers. In the previous video we have discussed about the evolution and brief history of computers, and we have also seen some of the important inventions that took place, and we have discussed how the computers took birth and so on. To begin with today's session, I want to tell you one important saying which holds good for computers as well, which goes like this: necessity is the mother of invention. And this saying applies to computers as well, because man always wanted to come up with new technologies, and he always wanted to speed up his computation work with greater accuracy and higher speed. So because of that, a man started inventing different technologies and he came up with the concept of computers. And we also discussed few earlier computers like ENIAC, IDVAC, Mark I. All these we have discussed, and after studying all these we are going to understand the different generations of computers. So let us begin with today's class. Generation in computer talk is a step in technology, and it provides a framework for the growth of computer industry. So actually the computer generation was started only after 1964. Before to that we never had the concept of generation, and whenever we come across the term generation, we always compare the previous generation to the current generation, or the current generation with the future generation. Why actually generation is required? It is because we can improve our speed, or we can improve our accuracy, and we can improve our usability of devices, or usability of the systems can be improved, and make the system more user friendly. So to give an example, if you consider the generation of mobile phones, in the earlier days we had small phones, or where we could only just send messages or receive messages and just give a phone call and receive a phone call. But if you compare the today's mobile phones, we can do lot of things. That's why we call them as smartphones. Not only just sending and receiving messages and so on, we could actually do the tasks that a computer can perform, so which we can handle in just our palms. So similarly, the generation was necessary in terms of computer as well, and man started inventing different technologies, and he started using different hardware and software technologies so that he can improve the working of the computer, and he could achieve greater things. So we basically classify the computer generation based on the hardware technologies that we used. But now in today's generation, or in today's situation, we also concentrate on the software that was used, and by using these two concepts, the hardware technologies and the software technologies, we can classify the computer generations into 5 categories, or we can say computer has 5 generations. So when we compare the different generations, we concentrate more on the hardware technology that was used. So in the first generation we use the vacuum tubes, and in second generation we use the transistors, and later on we use the integrated circuits, or what we call it as ICs, and then we come up with very large scale integration and ultra large scale integration. So this is how we can classify the computer generations over the period of time. So from 19th century to the 20th and 21st century, we can classify, or we can have 5 generations of computers. Actually, we have completed the 5th generation, and we are moving on, or we are growing in the 6th generation now, where we actually can uh, give the intelligence to the computer, or we call it as artificial intelligence, so that a computer or like a robot can think on its own, where uh, which was not possible, or which was not present in the earlier generation. So let us understand the important features and the characteristics and the technologies that was used in the 1st generation. So the computers that were designed and manufactured in the period of 1942 and 1955, we call them as the 1st generation computers. And this time period is not that precise, but we are just referring what is been given in our reference textbook. Some of them have, if you search in the internet, you may get different generation. I mean, the time period may vary for 4 to 5 years, but almost like 1940 to 1955 or 1960, we call them as the 1st generation computers. In terms of hardware technologies, uh, the 1st generation computers were made up of vacuum tubes, and they use the punch cards for storing of information. And when it comes to the software technologies, they use the machine and assembly level languages. And the important concept was developed by John von Neumann, and he introduced the concept of stored program. And even today we use the same stored program concept in the computers, and they were used only for scientific applications. Now let us quickly understand in detail about all these important terms. To just give an example, this is what we call it as a vacuum tube, which is made up of glass and some other important elements, and which had the outer glass or envelope, and then inside that it consisted of the filament, which acted like cathode, and a plate which acted like a anode, and a grid. If you observe closely, this filament is almost similar to the tungsten that we use in our bulbs. So in the 1st generation of computers, thousands of vacuum tubes were used to manufacture the computer. And to store the data and instruction, they use the punch cards. So basically, punch card is just a stiff or thick paper where it could be given it to the card reader, and where we can actually punch the holes, and the holes can be made by a man or by using the card reader, and by the presence or absence of the hole, we could recognize whether the information is stored or not. So these are the computers that were manufactured in the 1st generation. Like we have seen IDVAC, UNIVAC, all these are the examples for the 1st generation of computers. Now let us look into the characteristics in detail about the 1st generation computers. Before moving on to that, as you can see in this diagram, they were bulky in size. I mean, if you look into this, we require an entire room of 50 feet, we can say, and there were a lot of vacuum tubes and switches and wires and other things are used to design or to build these computers. So basically they were too bulky in size, huge in size, and they almost occupied an entire room of 50 to 80 feet, we can say. Then they were the fastest calculating devices of their time. So to compare to the earlier calculators or the Pascaline calculators, if you compare, these were the fastest calculating devices of their time, and power consumption of these computers was very high. So to highlight this point, let me go back to the diagram of vacuum tube. As I said, these computers were designed by using thousands of vacuum tubes, and vacuum tubes consume more electricity power, or more electricity was required, and almost each vacuum tube required half a watt power. So if you imagine, if one vacuum tube requires half a watt power, when we use thousands of vacuum tubes, obviously we require more electricity. And because of that, we had one more drawback, that is these computers, in fact vacuum tubes generated lot of heat, and because of that the maintaining of these computers was a challenging job or a challenging task. And also these filaments had a shorter lifetime. They used to get burnt out quickly, and we need to replace them on regular basis. So if there are if we are using thousands of vacuum tubes, and out of that if 4 to 5 or almost hundreds of vacuum tubes are damaged, we need to replace them on regular basis. And till these vacuum tubes are replaced, we could not use the computer. Thus constant maintenance was required for these computers, and vacuum tubes emitted a lot of heat. Because of that, the rooms that we used to place the computers, we should had air conditioning. Next important characteristic is commercial production of these computers was difficult and costly. That means to assemble all these different vacuum tubes and to design one particular system, it was very difficult, and more manpower was required, and also we required proper maintenance. So because of that, to design or to come up with one particular computer, it took a lot of time. So we couldn't use these computers for the commercial purpose. People could not afford it, in fact, and they were costly, and they were basically used for just scientific calculations and in the research and defense systems. Only these organizations use these computers. So let me repeat the important characteristics. First one is they were too bulky in size. That means they were huge in size, and to store all these computers and to store even one single computer, we required a large room, or we required a large space. And they were fastest calculating devices of their time. Power consumption of these computers was very high, because they used a lot of vacuum tubes, or thousands of vacuum tubes, and each vacuum tube requires almost half a watt power, and because of that we can understand that they emitted lot of heat, and because of that proper maintenance was also required, and also air conditioning was required. And since they used the vacuum tubes, they had the filament, and the filament had a very short lifetime. So because of that, we need to replace those vacuum tubes if they got damaged or crashed, and till we replace them, we cannot use the computer properly. So these were the and one more important thing is commercial production of these computers was difficult and costly. So, and most of the devices or switches and other things has to be done manually. So more manpower was required to manufacture these computers, and they were not affordable to common man. So these are the important characteristics of first generation of computers. And to give some examples, ENIAC, IDVAC, ITSAC, UNIVAC 1 and IBM 701 series, all these are the examples of the first generation of computers. So we have already discussed about the vacuum tubes, and next we have discussed about the punch cards. So to store the information, we use the punch cards as a secondary storage. So we have basically two types of storage, primary storage and secondary storage. We will discuss about these two in more detail in the coming classes. But secondary storage is where, like a hard disk, so where we can store the information for a longer period. So they use the concept of punch cards to store the information. And coming back to the software technology, they use the machine and assembly level language. So machine level language can be understood by only the computers, where we use the binary numbers. Binary means always it is 2, that is 2 bits we use, 0 and 1. So we use series of zeros and ones, 0 0 0 0 1 1 1 1 0, like this we use series of zeros and ones, and this is what we call it as the machine level language. Because we should understand that computer is a electronic device and it works on the electricity. So when we say electricity, it is always in terms of 0 and 1, on and off. And they also use the assembly level language, where we use some mnemonics like add, subtract, store, load. So all these are the mnemonics or symbols that we used in the first generation of computers. Now let us discuss in brief about the stored program concept. Before introducing this idea, instructions and data were considered two separate elements or two separate entities. So as you all know that for a computer we give data and instruction, and computer takes these data and instructions and it clubs these two and it processes it and it gives the result. And we thought that data and instruction should be stored separately, but when this was introduced by John von Neumann, he gave us the idea that both data and instruction can be stored in the computer itself. Even the modern days desktop computers or the systems that we use are still based on the concept of stored program. So remember these diagrams of these computers, I mean the images of these computers, so that you can easily write the characteristics by remembering these images. So if you consider they are too bulky, and if you can see, observe properly, we have a lot of other devices and wires and so on. So it is bulky and more space is required and lot of heat is generated and so on. So these simple characteristics you can easily write in the examination if you just can remember the images. Now let us discuss about second generation of computers. So the hardware technologies that were used in the second generation computer was transistors. Transistors were used, and they replaced the vacuum tubes. And then we use the magnetic cores, magnet tapes, and disks for storing of information. I mean, we use the magnetic cores for the primary memory, and we use the disks and magnet tapes for the secondary storage. And coming to the software front, we use the batch operating system was introduced, and then we use the high level programming languages. In the earlier one we have seen that we use the machine level and assembly level language, which is very difficult for a human being. So man started using the high level programming languages, which consist of a simple English like language, and these were commercialized, and business organizations started using them. So transistors were the better devices compared to the vacuum tubes because of some important features that they have. If you look into this image, you will easily understand. So if you compare the vacuum tubes, transistors never had the concept of filament, where the major drawback that we had in the first generation is the filaments had a very short lifetime, due to which maintenance was required and they could burn out easily. So transistor solved the problem of vacuum tubes, and people started using transistors to design the computers. So also they are smaller in size compared to the vacuum tubes, and they were also less expensive, and they consumed 1/10 power consumed by the first generation or by the vacuum tubes. So because of these important features of transistors, we call the second generation of computers as transistors, or we basically remember the second generation of computers in terms of transistors. And if you look into this image and this image, you will understand that the size of the computer was reduced, and these are some examples: IBM 1620, IBM 7094. So these were the series that were designed by the IBM, and this is the IBM 1620. So these are some of the examples of the computers that we used in the second generation. And if you look into this image, so these are the magnetic tapes and hard disks, or disks we can say, that were used for the primary storage and secondary storage of information. Now let us quickly understand the important characteristics of second generation of computers. The first important characteristic is they were faster compared to the earlier computers. Then they were easier to handle than tubes, since they were made of semiconductor material. So we could easily use the transistors, and we can manufacture the computers with ease, and less manpower was required to design these computers because we can easily handle them. And one more important thing is the size of these computers was reduced. So since the size is reduced, we can say that the number of elements or number of electronic devices required are less, and since the number of devices are less to build the computers, the heat generated was also less, or it was also reduced. So because of this, they were highly reliable as compared to the vacuum tubes, and also they consumed less power than the first generation computers, because they never had the concept of filament, so they consumed the less electricity. And when we talk about the storage space, they had faster and larger primary and secondary storage. So the storage capacity was increased, and they were faster in terms of primary memory, and because of that we could do more calculations, or we could also use the high level language, and with that we can easily design the programs. So they were easier to do programming and use than the first generation computers. So to revise these characteristics, first and foremost thing is they occupied less space, and they were more faster than the first generation computers. And since they use the transistors, no doubt we use thousands of transistors as well to manufacture a computer, but handling of these transistors was very easy, and they never had the concept of filament which could burn out quickly, and because of that a lot of maintenance was required in the earlier case. But these systems were highly reliable, and which could consume less power compared to the earlier generation. And also the storage space was increased in these computers, and we could store more information in the storage space. And they also started using the high level languages, and with that we could use it in commercial applications, or some business organization also started using these computers. So after writing all these characteristics, you can also give some examples like IBM 1620, Univac 1108, and so on. So you need to write the important characteristics and then you need to give one or two examples. So the following are the high level languages that were used in the second generation computers. Few examples are Fortran, COBOL, and ALGOL. So remember the abbreviations of these programming languages. No doubt we are using C programming as a high level language for our study, but it is also important to remember the earlier programming languages or high level languages. So Fortran stands for formula translation. COBOL stands for common business oriented language. It was used for to design simple business applications like to use payroll and inventory control, and also ALGOL like algorithmic language. So these were the languages that we used in the second generation of computers. So and these computers were commercialized because their cost was reduced compared to the earlier generation, and many organizations started using these high level programming languages to come up with the applications, and these are some of the applications that were designed were basically for payroll. So payroll in the sense to control the or to maintain the records of the employees working in the organization and to know what was their salary and so on. So related to the organization, they started designing the applications, and also some applications or some softwares were designed on inventory control and marketing. So inventory control, as you all know, which consists of raw materials, goods, and the inward stock, outward stock, all those things, they were computerized, and those softwares were started, and the different organizations started using these software, and because of that these computers were commercialized. So from the point of examination, you may get a 5-mark question to explain the characteristics of first generation of computer or second generation of computer, or you may get a 10 marks question to explain first generation and second generation, or third generation and fourth generation, or in brief explain the different generations. Like this also you may get a question. So in this video we have discussed the first and second generation. In the next classes we will discuss the third, fourth, and fifth generation of computers. Thank you.